Joseph Miller ran his fingers along his diplomatic uniform collar as the shuttle approached the massive space station. The station looked like a giant snowflake with crystal arms spreading out from the middle. After many years of being alone, in space humans were finally getting a chance to meet with the Galactic Council, 17 alien species that controlled trade, land, and technology across 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way. "Nervous, sir?" asked Lieutenant Samantha Patel, his security guard. Her dark eyes carefully watched the station as they got closer. "A healthy amount of caution seems right," Joseph replied with a tight smile. "We're the new kids on the block, after all." The truth was more complicated. Earth's sudden jump in technology, creating the Fisher drive that let ships travel faster than light, had worried the powerful aliens. Humanity's quick spread to nearby star systems had caused this meeting, officially called a diplomatic exchange, but Joseph thought it was more like an examination, or maybe a warning. The shuttle docked with a gentle shake. Joseph straightened his shoulders and nodded to Samantha and the 4 other team members who made up his diplomatic group. "Remember your training," he said. "We represent all of humanity today." The airlock opened to show 2 tall, thin figures with skin that changed, colors like oil on water. They were Tressarians, the hosts of this meeting. "Ambassador Miller," the taller one spoke, their translator changing complex sounds into English. "I am Delegate Shovnar. The council waits for you." Joseph and his team walked through curving hallways where representatives of various alien species moved with purpose. Some looked like Earth animals but with strange differences, too many limbs or eyes in odd places. Others were so different they needed special fields or mechanical parts to move around. They stopped at a massive doorway that disappeared like mist when Shovnar approached. Beyond was a circular room with 17 raised platforms arranged in a ring. On each platform stood or floated representatives of the council races, some alone, others in small groups. In the center of the ring stood a single platform. "You will speak to the council from there," Shovnar explained. "We have studied how your body works and changed the air and temperature for your comfort." Joseph stepped forward, feeling the weight of billions of human lives on his shoulders. The lights dimmed slightly and the room grew quiet. "Honored representatives of the Galactic Council," he began, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "I bring greetings from Earth and all human colonies. We come seeking friendship, knowledge, and peaceful cooperation among the stars." A low murmur spread through the room. On one of the platforms, a bulbous creature with stalks of eyes leaned forward. "The human speaks of peace," it said, its translated voice deep and resonant. "Yet their kind has spread to 7 star systems without permission, sending military ships alongside civilian ones. They have refused to talk with our border authorities." Joseph hadn't expected to be immediately on the defensive. "With respect, Counselor, we didn't know the proper steps to follow. Our scans showed no claims on those systems, because you lack the technology to detect quantum ownership markers," interrupted another council member, this one looking like a metal humanoid with a blank face. Not knowing is no excuse for trespassing. The meeting quickly got worse from there. Each question seemed designed to trap Joseph in lies or to make him admit wrongdoing. Hours passed as the council picked apart Earth's history, focusing especially on humanity's violent past and ongoing conflicts. By the time they called a break, Joseph was exhausted. He gathered with his team in a small room provided for their use. "This isn't a diplomatic exchange," Samantha said quietly. "It's a trial." "I'm getting the same feeling," Joseph agreed, loosening his collar. "They've already made up their minds about us, but why bother with this show?" Frank Dixon, their alien politics expert, looked grim. "Procedure, most likely. The Concordat works on formal rules. They need to show they gave us a fair hearing before whatever comes next." "Whatever comes next?" Joseph repeated. Frank's answer was cut off by the return of their Tressarian guide. "The council meets again. A decision has been reached." "A decision?" Joseph protested. This was supposed to be a diplomatic meeting, not a judgment. The Tressarians' skin rippled with dark patches, their version of a shrug. "All newcomers are judged, Ambassador. It is the way of the Concordat. Back in the chamber, the atmosphere had changed. The platforms had moved closer together, and the council members spoke in hushed tones among themselves. When Joseph returned, to the central platform, a heavy silence fell. The central figure, a Jiract elder whose species had founded the Concordat thousands of years ago, rose to its full height, standing 10 feet tall above the platform. "Joseph Miller of Earth," it said formally, "we have evaluated humanity's readiness to join galactic society. We have examined your history, your biology, your cultural development, and your possible futures." Joseph felt a chill down his spine. The Concordat cannot risk the stability of thousands of worlds for the ambitions of one aggressive species, the Jiract continued. "Your kind develops too quickly, adapts too readily, and keeps too much of your predator origins. The Council's decision is unanimous." The room's lighting shifted to a deep red. "Humanity is deemed an unacceptable risk to galactic peace. You, as their representative, will serve as both message and warning to your species." Joseph stepped back from the platform. "What are you saying?" "Contact with Earth will be cut off. Your colonies will be isolated and eventually moved. And you, Ambassador Miller, have been sentenced to immediate dissolution as an example of our resolve." Samantha plunged forward, her hand going to her weapon, but unseen forces froze her in place. The other human team members similarly found themselves unable to move. "This is madness," Joseph protested. "You can't just—" "The sentence has been passed," the Jiract stated flatly. "Your species will learn that the galaxy has rules, Ambassador, rules that even humanity must follow." A field of energy began to form around Joseph, lifting him slightly off the floor. He struggled against it, but his limbs wouldn't respond. "My death won't change anything," he managed to say. "Earth won't accept this." "They will have no choice," the Jiract replied. The energy field brightened, and Joseph felt his body begin to come apart at the molecular level. His last thought was of Earth, so far away and unaware of what was happening and what was coming. The execution was watched by his team, still frozen in place, their eyes forced open to see their ambassador reduced to atoms that scattered and faded like dust in sunlight. What the council didn't know was that everything, every word, every action, was being sent back to Earth through a quantum device hidden in Joseph's diplomatic pin. A technology the Concordat had never seen and couldn't detect, and on Earth the response was already being prepared. Admiral Ellen Park stood still in front of the main screen in Earth Fleet Command. Around her, the control room had fallen silent as they watched Ambassador Miller's execution sent in real time through the quantum link. "Get me the President," she said, her voice cutting through the shock. "Now." Across the room, Communications Officer Kyle Bennett was already making the connection, his fingers moving automatically while his face remained pale with shock. "The quantum signal is still active," reported Dr. Olivia Wright from the science station. "We're getting data from the rest of the team's implants. They're being taken back to their shuttle under guard." President William Carter's face appeared on the main screen, replacing the final moments of Ambassador Miller's life. His expression hardened when he saw Ellen's face. "They killed him," she said simply. The president closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his gaze was like steel. "Start Protocol Omega," he ordered. "Right now?" Ellen nodded. "Yes, sir." The connection closed, and Ellen turned to her senior staff. "You heard the president, Protocol Omega. This is not a drill." Throughout the command center, officers moved with practiced precision, despite what they'd just witnessed. Protocol Omega had been developed as a worst-case plan after humanity's first detection of alien radio signals decades ago. A response to exactly this scenario: hostile contact with technologically superior aliens. "All fleet vessels are receiving the activation codes," Lieutenant Commander Alan Jones reported from Tactical. "Hidden systems coming online." Ellen walked to the central holographic display, where a real-time map of human-controlled space appeared. Earth and its 7 colony worlds glowed blue against the black of space. Beyond them, Newly appearing red markers showed the positions of concordate worlds and stations based on intelligence gathered during humanity's secret observation period. "Begin Phase 1, Ellen ordered. "Stealth deployments only, no fighting, until all assets are in position." Throughout human space, disguised military bases activated, ships that had appeared to be civilian freighters or science vessels, transformed as hidden components reconfigured. From secret underground hangars on Earth and the colonies, vessels never before seen in open space emerged. For years, humanity had been preparing for this possibility. While publicly presenting themselves as newcomers to space travel, Earth's military and scientific communities had been working secretly. Dr. Wright approached the Admiral with a data tablet. "Ma'am, I've finished the first analysis of the Concordate's defense systems based on what we saw through the ambassador's feed." Ellen took the tablet, scanning the information quickly. "So they're using phased barrier technology for their main planetary defenses. Weakness. Changing frequency targeting should disrupt them exactly as we thought," Dr. Wright confirmed. "Our simulations were accurate." Ellen returned the tablet. "Good. What about their faster-than-light blocking capabilities? They appear to use gravity. Well, projectors. Effective but predictable. Our modified Fisher drives should be able to work around them." For decades, humanity had publicly claimed that their faster-than-light technology, the Fisher drive, was a recent development. In reality, Earth had possessed the technology for much longer but had kept its true capabilities hidden, presenting a deliberately weakened version to any watching eyes. On the main screen, a secure channel opened to show Captain Nathan Blake aboard the EDS Retribution, currently hidden in an asteroid field near the edge of human space. "Admiral," he nodded. "My battle group is ready. Permission to deploy Phase 1 assets?" "Granted, Captain. Maintain stealth protocols until the signal." Similar. Reports came in from commanders throughout human space as Earth's hidden fleet mobilized. Ships that could bend light around their hulls. Weapon systems that could target the specific weaknesses of alien technology. Defense systems designed to counter the very attacks humanity had anticipated. In the diplomatic shuttle returning from the Concordate station, Lieutenant Samantha Patel and the rest of Ambassador Miller's team sat in silence, watched by their Tressarian guards. None of them spoke or made eye contact with each other. None of them revealed that the data they'd gathered during their brief time on the station was already being sent back to Earth through their implants, detailed scans of Concordate technology, defense systems, and biological information about the Council species, information that was now being used to finalize humanity's response. In her quarters next to the command center, Admiral Park held a private conversation with the chiefs of Earth's other military branches. "The ambassador's execution changes the timeline, but not the plan," General Catherine Ward of Earth Ground Forces stated. "My units are ready for deployment to the chosen Concordate worlds." "Same with aerospace," added General Vincent Reyes. "Our carriers can launch as soon as the fleet creates the openings." Admiral Park nodded. "The President has authorized full use of resources. This ends quickly or not at all." "And the colonists?" asked General Ward. "The ones in Concordate space, who don't know about Protocol Omega." "Extraction teams are already on the way," Ellen assured her. "We've had sleeper ships positioned near every human settlement in contested space for years. No one gets left behind." As the meeting concluded, Ellen returned to the command center where a message was waiting from the President. The Security Council has unanimously approved the declaration, he informed her. As of this moment, Earth is officially at war with the interstellar Concordate. Ellen acknowledged the message and turned to address the command center staff. "In 12 hours, the Concordate will discover that they've made the greatest mistake in their history," she announced. "They believe they were judging a primitive species seeking admission to their society. They're about to learn that they've attacked a civilization that has been preparing for this moment for generations." She looked at the galactic display, where hundreds of human vessels were now moving into position. "They executed our envoy to send us a message," she continued. "Our response will be immediate, overwhelming, and final. Operation Retribution begins in 12 hours." Throughout human space, the wheels of war were turning. and the galaxy was about to learn why harming a human emissary had been a catastrophic error. Back on the Concordate station, the Council had returned to their normal business, confident that their message to humanity had been delivered. None of them noticed the small devices that had been left behind by the human diplomatic team, devices that were now mapping their entire defense network, recording their communications, and identifying critical weaknesses. In Ambassador Miller's empty quarters, a small pin, identical to the one he had worn, sat forgotten on a shelf. Inside it, a quantum entanglement device continued to transmit data back to Earth. The Concordate had executed an envoy to demonstrate their power. Earth's vengeance was about to show them what real power looked like. Captain Nathan Blake stood on the bridge of the EDS Retribution, watching the clock count down the final minutes before attack. His ship, which looked like a mid-sized exploration vessel from the outside, had now changed into its true form. An advanced stealth destroyer carrying weapons that had never been shown to the wider galaxy. "All battle groups report ready, Captain," First Officer Diana Collins reported. "Stealth systems working perfectly. The Concordate has no idea we're here." Nathan nodded, his expression serious. "And our civilian rescue teams, in position near all human settlements in Concordate space. They'll move the moment we create the distraction." The bridge was quiet, each officer focused on their station. They had trained for this scenario for years, but the reality of what they were about to do, launch a coordinated attack against the dominant power in their region of the galaxy, was sobering. 2 minutes to synchronization, announced the tactical officer, Lieutenant Paul Morris. Nathan opened a channel to all ships under his command. "This is Captain Blake. In 2 minutes, we execute the first phase of Operation Retribution. Our objectives are clear. Disable the Concordate's main defense and communication networks, secure the safety of human civilians in Concordate space, and show clearly that the execution of Ambassador Miller was an unforgivable error." He paused, looking at the faces of his bridge crew. "What we do today will reshape the balance of power in this galaxy." The Concordate believed they were dealing with a naive species they could bully and control. By day's end, they will understand that humanity is neither naive nor controllable. 30 seconds, Lieutenant Morris announced. "Disengage stealth systems on my mark," Nathan ordered. "Target packages are locked. Weapons free." The clock ticked down to 0. Mark. Across 3 sectors of space, over 200 Earth vessels simultaneously turned off their stealth systems and appeared as if from nowhere. They materialized in precisely calculated positions, directly alongside Concordate defense platforms, monitoring stations, and communication relays. Before the Concordate's automated systems could even register the threat, the human vessels opened fire with weapons specifically designed to target alien technology. Focused quantum disruptors disabled defense shields without destroying the structures themselves. Communication arrays were severed with surgical precision. Aboard the Retribution, Nathan watched as the tactical display showed green confirmation signals from throughout the fleet. Phase 1 was proceeding exactly as planned. "The Concordate's orbital defense network is down," reported Lieutenant Morris. "Their emergency channels are active but scrambled. They're blind and can't coordinate a response." "Begin Phase 2, Nathan ordered. "Deploy the message drones." From each human vessel, small autonomous craft launched toward Concordate worlds. These drones carried no weapons, only a message, broadcast simultaneously in all 17 languages of the Council species. "This is the unified response of Earth to the illegal execution of our representative, Ambassador Joseph Miller. Your Council has committed an act of war against humanity. Your defenses have been neutralized. Your communications have been severed. This demonstration of force is targeted exclusively at military installations. No civilian has been harmed. You have 6 hours to return all human citizens in Concordate space to our custody and to transmit unconditional surrender terms to Earth Command. Failure to comply will result in the implementation of Phase 3. There will be no further warnings." On Iter, the Concordate's capital world, Zur Prime, the ruling council had been reconvened in emergency session. The chamber that had witnessed Ambassador Miller's execution now echoed with shouts and accusations as representatives of the 17 species argued over how to respond to humanity's unexpected show of force. "Impossible," bellowed the Juract, elder who had pronounced Joseph's sentence. Their technology was assessed as primitive. Their military capability was minimal. "Evidently," replied the Tressarian representative dryly. "Our assessment was flawed. Reports continued to flood in from throughout concordate space. Defense systems neutralized, communication networks disabled, and most alarmingly, strange vessels, appearing near every world where human colonists had been settled, extracting them with methodical efficiency. They were hiding their true capabilities," said the metallic humanoid counselor. "The question is, for how long? And how much more? Are they hiding?" The debate raged on as the 6-hour deadline approached. Some counselors argued for immediate surrender to avoid further humiliation. Others insisted that the Concordate's numerical superiority would prevail in a prolonged conflict once their forces were mobilized. But the truth that none wished to acknowledge was that humanity had achieved in hours what should have been impossible. They had nullified the Concordate's technological advantages and exposed critical vulnerabilities in its defense strategy. As the deadline neared its end, a decision was finally reached. The Concordate would not surrender, but it would negotiate. A transmission was prepared requesting a diplomatic resolution to the conflict. Aboard the Retribution, Nathan received the message personally. "They're not surrendering," he informed Admiral Park over a secure channel. "They're asking for negotiations." Instead, Ellen's expression remained impassive on the view screen. The President anticipated this response. "They're playing for time, hoping to mobilize their reserves." "Are we proceeding with Phase 3? "With one modification," Ellen replied. "The President has authorized a demonstration. A single target, minimal casualties, maximum impact." She transmitted the coordinates, and Nathan's eyes widened slightly when he saw the designated location. "That's bold, Admiral." "That's the point, Captain. Execute immediately." Nathan closed the channel and turned to his tactical officer. "New target package coming through. Prepare the kinetic strike platform." Lieutenant Morris worked rapidly at his console, then looked up in surprise. "Sir, this target is the Concordate Council chamber itself." "Correct, Lieutenant. Precision strike, minimum yield necessary to penetrate their secondary shields. Timing is critical. Our intelligence suggests the Council is still in emergency session." Throughout the bridge, officers exchanged glances, but continued their work. With professional efficiency, the Retribution moved into position, approaching the Concordate capital world under renewed stealth protocols. "Target locked," announced Morris. "Kinetic platform armed and ready." Nathan took a deep breath. Fire. From the Retribution. A single projectile launched, a tungsten rod accelerated to near relativistic speed. It crossed the distance to the planet in seconds, bypassed the disabled primary planetary shields, punched through the weaker secondary defenses, and struck the Council chamber with pinpoint accuracy. The impact was precisely calculated, powerful, enough to partially collapse the chamber's dome and fill the space with debris, but not so powerful as to destroy the structure entirely or kill everyone inside. When the dust settled, the surviving Council members found themselves staring up at the open sky where their secure chamber's roof had been, and descending through that opening came a holographic projection, a massive image of Admiral Ellen Park. "This demonstration concludes our response to your execution of Ambassador Miller," her image stated calmly. "As you can see, we could have eliminated your entire governing body but chose restraint. This courtesy will not be extended again." 24 hours later, a diplomatic vessel from Earth arrived at the designated coordinates, a small, uninhabited planet in neutral space. The ship, clearly marked as the EDS Diplomat, landed on the barren surface near a quickly built meeting dome. Inside the ship, Acting Ambassador Gregory Ward adjusted his uniform and addressed the small team gathered before him. "I don't need to stress how important this meeting is," he told them. "The future relationship between humanity and the Concordat will be determined by what happens in that dome. Do we believe they'll actually surrender? Asked Deputy Ambassador Cynthia Hayes. Gregory's expression was measured. They've experienced a shock unlike anything in their 1,000-year history. Their defenses were neutralized, their capital was struck, and their council was nearly killed, all without warning and with precision they thought impossible. He glanced at the tactical display showing the positions of Earth's fleet, still deployed throughout concordate space. Whether they formally surrender or not, the balance of power has permanently shifted. Our job is to establish the new reality in terms they can accept, without losing all dignity. A sensor alert chimed, and Lieutenant Eric Ford at Communications reported, "Concordate vessel approaching, sir, standard diplomatic configuration." "Let's go meet our new partners," Gregory said with grim determination. The Earth delegation proceeded to the dome, a transparent structure allowing visibility in all directions, a deliberate choice to prevent any feeling of ambush or trap. Inside, a circular table with two opposing sides awaited. The concordate delegation arrived shortly after, a smaller group than expected. Leading them was not the Juract elder who had condemned Ambassador Miller, but the Tressarian counselor who had served as humanity's initial contact. Acting Ambassador Ward, the Tressarian greeted him, skin flickering with patterns of formal recognition. "I am Counselor Neville, authorized to speak for the Concordate in these unprecedented circumstances." The delegations seated themselves, and Gregory noted the absence of the typical translator devices. Instead, the Tressarian and its colleagues spoke perfect English. "You've been studying us for some time," Gregory observed. "As you have clearly been studying us," Neville replied evenly. "With considerably more success, it appears." Gregory placed a data crystal on the table. "This contains our terms. They are non-negotiable, but fair. The Concordate will acknowledge its unprovoked act of war against Earth, issue formal apologies, and provide reparations for Ambassador Miller's family. In return, we will withdraw our forces from Concordate space and establish formal diplomatic relations." Neville made no move to take the crystal. "Before we discuss terms, my delegation has been instructed to ask one question. How long?" "I don't understand." "How long has humanity possessed its true level of technology? How long have you been watching us while pretending to be newcomers to interstellar travel?" Gregory exchanged glances with his team, then made a decision. "Being honest now might serve Earth better than continued deception. We detected the Concordate 300 years ago," he revealed. "Your signals, your probes, your automated guards at the edges of your territory. We observed how you absorbed or eliminated other civilizations that you deemed problematic." The Concordate delegates stirred uncomfortably at this blunt assessment. "We developed our technology in secret," Gregory continued. "We presented a carefully crafted image of a young, eager species just discovering the stars. We allowed you to believe you were monitoring our development, when in fact, we were studying your weaknesses." 300 years? Neville's skin paled to nearly white. "Impossible. Your planet shows all the signs of early technological development. The pollution patterns, the resource depletion, the radiation signatures. Carefully maintained appearances," Gregory confirmed. "Our actual industrial centers are hidden. Our true fleet was built in shielded facilities beneath the surfaces of uninhabited moons. What you saw of human technology was exactly what we wanted you to see." For the first time, the Concordate delegates appeared truly shaken. Their entire assessment of humanity had been based on a centuries-long deception. "Why reveal yourselves now?" asked another counselor, a reptilian being with feathered crests. "You could have continued your charade." "We had hoped to integrate peacefully," Gregory explained, "to join galactic society without revealing our precautions. Ambassador Miller was genuine in his desire for cooperation. His execution forced our hand." "A test," Neville said softly. "His death was meant to test your species' response to dominance. Tactics, a standard procedure for potentially aggressive newcomers. A test that has cost the Concordate its position of unchallenged authority," Gregory stated flatly. "Now about our terms." The negotiations continued for hours. The Concordat representatives, still reeling from the revelation of humanity's true nature, eventually accepted most of Earth's demands with minimal resistance. As the meeting concluded, Neverall approached Gregory privately. "There is something else, isn't there?" the Trisarian asked. "Something you're still not revealing." Gregory maintained a neutral expression. "The terms are all contained in the agreement." "I am not referring to the terms," Neverall pressed. "During our assault on your defenses, we detected energy signatures unlike anything in our records. Weapons that shouldn't be possible according to our understanding of physics. Your true technological level. It exceeds even what you demonstrated in your attack, doesn't it?" After a calculated pause, Gregory replied, "Consider this, Counselor. What you witnessed was a response we prepared for a specific eventuality, the Concordat becoming hostile toward Earth. It required significant resources but represented only a fraction of our capabilities." He let that statement hang in the air before continuing. "Humanity hopes never to reveal the full extent of those capabilities. Peace between our civilizations would be preferable for everyone involved." The implied threat was clear, and Neverall's skin rippled with patterns that the human interpreters identified as deep concern. "The Council will ratify the agreement," the Trisarian said quietly. "But this conversation has not happened." "Of course," Gregory agreed. As the Earth delegation returned to their ship, Deputy Ambassador Hayes fell into step beside Gregory. "Was that wise?" she asked in a low voice. "Hinting at capabilities we don't actually possess?" Gregory's expression remained impassive until they were safely aboard their vessel. Only then did he allow himself a small smile. "Who said we don't possess them?" Back on Earth, in a facility buried deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Admiral Park stood before a massive containment chamber. Inside, suspended in a field of pulsing energy, floated a crystalline structure unlike anything of Earth origin. "The Concordat has signed the agreement," President Carter informed her, entering the secure chamber. "They've acknowledged their responsibility for Ambassador Miller's death and agreed to all our terms." Ellen nodded, still watching the alien artifact. "And the real reason for their aggression toward us? Did they suspect?" "If they did, they didn't mention it during negotiations," the President replied. "As far as they're concerned, we're simply more advanced than they estimated, not fundamentally different." 1 year after the crisis that became known as the Miller Incident, the galaxy had changed dramatically. In the central plaza of New Geneva, Earth's purpose-built diplomatic capital on a terraformed moon of Jupiter, representatives from 23 spacefaring civilizations gathered for the first meeting of the Interstellar Concord. Unlike the Concordat it replaced, this new galactic body operated on principles of equality and mutual defense rather than hierarchy and control. And at its center, unofficially but clearly, stood humanity. Ambassador Gregory Ward, now permanently appointed as Earth's chief diplomat, looked over the assembly from a balcony above the chamber. Beside him stood Admiral Ellen Park, her dress, uniform decorated with the new insignia of Supreme Commander of the Combined Defense Force. "They're settling in well," Gregory observed. Even the former Concordat species seem relieved by the new arrangement. "Most of them never benefited from the old power structure anyway," Ellen replied. "The Juract and their closest allies controlled everything. The rest were just waiting for a chance for change. And we provided that chance. Spectacularly so." Below, them delegates mingled before the session began. Former enemies, now cautious allies. Species that had never been permitted to join the Concordat now stood as equal members of the Concord. And throughout the chamber, human diplomats moved with practiced ease, helping connections, resolving minor disputes, building the foundations of a new galactic order. "President Carter's address begins in 10 minutes, Gregory noted, checking his watch. "He'll want both of us visible during his speech." Ellen nodded, but her attention had shifted to a small group entering the chamber, Trisarians led by a familiar figure. "Counselor Neverall has been appointed as the Trisarian delegate," she observed. "Interesting choice." "Not really," Gregory replied. The Trisarians always had doubts about the Concordat's methods. Neville was among the most progressive of their leadership. Their government is signaling alignment with our vision. As if sensing their attention, Neville looked up to the balcony. The Trisarian's skin rippled with formal patterns of greeting, which both humans acknowledged with respectful nods. Still doesn't trust us, though, Ellen added quietly. After Neville had moved on, would you in their position? A chime sounded calling the delegates to their seats. Gregory and Ellen made their way down to the main floor, taking their places on either side of the podium where President Carter would speak. The chamber quieted as the president entered. At 62, William Carter carried himself with the confidence of a leader whose decisions had reshaped the power structure of an entire galaxy. He nodded to several delegates as he passed, then took his position at the center of the assembly. Distinguished representatives, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber without technological help, a subtle reminder of human capabilities. 1 year ago, a tragic misjudgment led to conflict. Today we gather not to dwell on past grievances, but to establish a framework for lasting peace and mutual prosperity. The speech continued, outlining the principles of the new Concord: collaborative security, technological exchange, territorial respect, and cultural preservation. Each point carefully crafted to address the failings of the previous system while establishing humanity's role as facilitator rather than ruler. Earth does not seek dominance, Carter assured the assembly. We seek partnership. The combined knowledge and wisdom of all our civilizations far exceeds what any single species could achieve alone. In the diplomatic gallery, Joseph Miller's widow, Laura, sat with their children. Their presence, a reminder of the personal cost that had led to these changes, was not lost on any of the delegates. As the president concluded his address to enthusiastic applause, Gregory leaned slightly toward Ellen. He doesn't mention the artifact or the technology we're still keeping secret. Some truths remain too dangerous to share, Ellen replied softly, even in this new era of cooperation. The assembly moved to its first formal session, with procedural matters and the approval of the Concord Charter occupying the agenda. As the delegates voted overwhelmingly to approve the founding document, Gregory found himself approached by Councillor Neville during a brief break. A remarkable achievement, Ambassador, the Trisarian commented. From first contact to galactic leadership in less than 2 years, your species moves quickly. We adapt to circumstances, Gregory replied diplomatically. Indeed, Neville's skin displayed patterns that the human interpreters had learned to recognize as thoughtful skepticism. There are rumors, you know, among some of the older spacefaring races, theories about Earth. Gregory maintained his composed expression. There are always rumors about newcomers. These are specific rumors about technological anomalies, energy, signatures that don't match known physics. Some suggest humanity had help. Gregory smiled politely. Imagination is a trait we share with many species, Counselor. Of course. Neville's skin shifted to formal politeness. In any case, the new Concord benefits us all. My government is pleased with the direction of galactic affairs under this shared leadership. As the Trisarian moved away, Gregory's communicator vibrated with an encrypted message from Admiral Park. Antarctic facility reports unusual activity from the artifact. Recommend return to Earth immediately. Gregory glanced across the chamber, where Ellen was already making her way toward the exit, her expression carefully neutral. He excused himself from nearby delegates and followed. In the secure transmission room adjacent to the main chamber, President Carter was waiting for them, his face grave on the view screen. It's responding to something, he said without preamble. The artifact has initiated a new energy pattern we've never seen before. Dr. Wright believes it may be transmitting. Transmitting to whom? Ellen asked sharply. Unknown. But the quantum resonance signatures are similar to those detected 300 years ago, just before we found it. Gregory and Ellen exchanged concerned glances. Are we looking at a potential first contact scenario with whoever created the artifact? Gregory asked. Possibly, the president replied. Or perhaps it's simply entering a new phase of operation. Either way, I want both of you back on Earth immediately. If we're about to meet the artifact's creators, I want my best people handling the introduction. As they prepared to depart, Gregory paused at a viewport overlooking the assembly below. Representatives of 23 species were now voting on measures that would shape galactic society for centuries to come, a society in which humanity held a central role, all because the Concordat had executed a human envoy. Not realizing that the seemingly primitive species they sought to intimidate had been preparing for such a moment for centuries, armed with technology salvaged from a mysterious alien source. They thought Ambassador Miller's execution would be the end of the story, Ellen remarked, joining him at the viewport. Instead, it was just the beginning. Below them, the assembled delegates rose in unanimous approval of the final charter. Article. The Interstellar Concord was officially born, a new galactic order forged in the aftermath of Earth's vengeance. And somewhere in the universe, perhaps the creators of the artifact that had given humanity its edge were receiving a signal, preparing to make their own entrance onto the galactic stage. The real first contact, it seemed, was yet to come.